Nearly a year into the COVID crisis, many have turned to Mother Nature to help us cope. I am among that group, Tyler, and it sparked a new appreciation for the beauty in our backyards. But we have not always been so kind to Mother Nature. With us now, Marie McCormick. She's the executive director, Friends of the Rouge. Always great to have you with us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me today. Appreciate it. And all those Better Made chips made me feel really hungry.
You know, if you eat them before noon, the calories don't count.
Okay, keep that in mind.
I just made that up. It sounds good.
It sounds like
their taglines.
Yeah. And then they need to put like a little thing. It's like
you just put a disclaimer there. It can say anything with a disclaimer in these days, you know?
Exactly. You know what's so great though is during this time, I do really think people are starting to appreciate what is in our backyards, right? Like Mother Nature has been our savior during this time. But when it comes to the River Rouge, not always the best history there. How are cleanup efforts going right now?
Well, the Rouge River has been going through over 50 years plus of cleanup. 51, almost 2 years ago in October, the Rouge River caught on fire. And that was just downriver of the I-75. And so that was at a time when not only the Rouge, but the Cuyahoga and other rivers in the Rust Belt were catching on fire because of uncontrolled pollution discharges into the river. Since that time, there's been a lot of legislation at the federal, state, and local level that has required cities and communities to start cleaning up their act for pollution like that. So the rivers have actually gotten significantly better, including the Rouge. You know, nowadays you can catch over 60, 70 species of fish in the river, whereas 50 plus years ago you could catch maybe 2. Fish are coming back tenfold. You see all different kinds of birds and other various types of wildlife that have come back. We are not delisted as an area of concern at this point, but the river has improved to a point where we can actually offer and encourage paddling sports. So partial body contact sports like kayaking and canoeing. And like you mentioned earlier, those recreational sports have skyrocketed in this whole region. People, like, kayaks are being sold out. People are going paddling in the dead of winter. We've done a couple little stories on people out there in their canoes just paddling through the ice, basically. And people are going, you know, snowshoeing and cross-country skiing and bird watching. There's a ton of activities out there on the internet that you can get involved with in engaging with the natural world, and then just getting outside. People are outside in droves. So nature is open, and so people are taking advantage of that.
And with that, when you're talking about the improvements, what did it take to get to this point?
Oh my gosh, it took billions of dollars, dedicated, you know, multi-community efforts, people at the state level, federal level, local level, nonprofit organizations, municipalities. It's a whole sort of web of collaborative minds coming together and saying, we need to do something about this river and many of the other rivers. And Dr. John Hardig, who's a friend of mine, has written a number of books that he calls the Rouge River revitalization as one of the most astounding and important ecological recovery stories in the country. And so, you know, the stories that you heard about the Rouge River when you were younger, I mean, my father grew up on the river, and he used to throw like flames at the river, like a match at the river, and watch it, you know, catch on fire a little bit on the oil slicks. The river is a lot cleaner nowadays. We still have some issues, but what it took to get here, billions of dollars and lots of dedication.
And let's hope that some of these corporations that helped make the Rouge what it was and the issues surrounding it have been held accountable as well. But it also took the dedication of so many volunteers to get
Yeah.
to this point.
It really did. And 35 years ago, we had our first Rouge Rescue. It was one of the largest cleanups in the country. It was originally funded by the Ford Motor Company. They gave Friends of the Rouge $50,000 to start this first cleanup effort, and had several thousand people volunteering. At that time, we were pulling out tires, cars, mattresses, shopping carts, dumpsters, anything and everything, you name it. And now Rouge Rescue has really transitioned to not just pulling out garbage, but kind of doing some ecological restoration things as well, planting gardens, planting native plants, doing educational things along the river as well. So, you don't find as much garbage as you used to in the river, although you still do. And there are some opportunities for corporate partners to sort of take responsibility. If you're familiar with the old channel around Zug Island, that is a private-public partnership with Honeywell that actually took responsibility for the previous corporation that was there and cleaning up all of their pollution. So a lot of the pollution in the river that still exists are heavy metals like PCBs and mercury. And that is sort of sitting at the bottom of the river in some of the sediments that you find down there. So the project that they're doing right now with the EPA and Honeywell is a $50 million project where they're basically dredging out the bottom of the river. They're putting some sheet pile along the edges of the banks to stabilize it. And then they're putting in shelves to create habitat for native fish like sturgeon and walleye, so that you can recreate some breeding grounds for the native fish populations.
Marie McCormick with us here on the MegaCast. She's the executive director for Friends of the Rouge. What needs to be done in the next phase?
Well, next phase is continuing some of those major restoration projects, getting people across the whole Metro Detroit area to take personal responsibility on their own piece of land. And that might mean plant a rain garden, put in some native plants, get involved with your local community, write a letter to your legislator. So it's the small actions that are collective that make a big difference. And then paired with some of the larger projects like addressing some of the combined sewer outfalls, locating and identifying some of the illicit discharges where pipes might be broken somewhere and then leaking out human waste into the river. Those are really important things we need to think about and address so that we can really tackle some of the water quality issues that are still existing today.
So Marie, with that, so many of us have been enjoying nature right now. Are you seeing an increase of people wanting to volunteer to preserve Mother Earth, whether it be with the Rouge River or other parts of nature, or are they kind of saying, hey, the river's cleaned up now, we're good to go?
No, we get requests for volunteers, whether it's at the corporate level, individual level, schools, community groups, et cetera, every single day. We are limited in our capacity right now because of our COVID protocol. We limit groups to 25, whereas in previous years, we might have as many as 400, 500 people at a site. So we have to be a lot more thoughtful and intentional when we're bringing folks out into spaces where we're encouraging cleanups. But we do have opportunities to get people to do things on their own. So on our website, you can go on and check out, well, what can I do in my own backyard? Maybe I don't want to plant a garden. Maybe I want to go clean up garbage. Maybe I want to pull some invasive species. These are things that you can do yourself to take action and help preserve this amazing resource that we have out our back door.
So with that, can they go to your website? What will they learn if they want to do something on their own? If anything, just for parents to also teach their kids about this important resource during this time.
So yes, you can go to our website. It's www.therouge.org. And on our website, you can find all of our upcoming events. Examples that are coming up in March are Green Your Neighborhood Community Forum. That's a great opportunity throughout the whole month of March to engage in a sort of a virtual way to make your home and neighborhood more sustainable with nature-based solutions. We have a frog and toad survey that you can participate in. We usually bring in families from across the whole region. Last year was it was the most popular year for our frog and toad surveys. So if you are a family, you can go out at dusk and you listen for the presence or absence of frogs and toads. And that tells you a story about the health of the river or the sort of the natural area that you're in. And that is a awesome way to, bring your kids out in nature, do something as a family, and be socially distanced and COVID friendly.
Okay, Marie, let's settle this debate right here and right now. If I touch a toad and it pees on me, am I going to get a wart?
I don't think so. I think you'll be just fine.
Right? We always heard that as kids. I know I wasn't alone, right?
No,
I don't remember if
heard
it was a
that
frog or a toad, but I'm pretty sure it was a toad. If you touched it, and it peed on you, you were going to get a wart.
I've heard that one. Yeah.
I don't know about the validity of that, but that is certainly something I heard as well. Since working for Friends of the Rouge, I have lost all my fear of toad urine. So
That's good, at least.
Well, that's good. I will say, I think my former coworker, Charlie LaDuff, did an amazing story. It's been several years back where he canoed the Rouge. I don't know if you've seen it, but they did such a great job, and it was very eye-opening. And also, it tells the story. I think they did a great job of telling the story of the Rouge. You can still find that online if you just Google Charlie LaDuff Rouge River canoe. It was like, 3 parts, 4 parts, 5-7 minute pieces, which in the news world is a lifetime. But I think it really helped reach the public and tell the history, but also the efforts of the cleanup as well. So, these stories are important.
Yeah, the stories are important, and it's also important to get to the river, to engage with the river, because if you want to protect something, you have to have a relationship with it and love it. And without that relationship, which we call stewardship, people are going to be less inclined to want to protect the river. So that's part of what we do. We get people interested in and begin to love the Rouge River.
That is so awesome. And I will say my biggest pet peeve when it comes to our city of Detroit and that surrounding area is the illegal dumping that goes on. And they don't just do it on vacant lots, they also do it in the river. And like I said, it's one of my pet peeves because you're not just harming the environment, you're harming your community as well. And we're seeing the huge efforts that it's taking to get this river cleaned up, and it's for the health of all of us. So before we let you go, Marie, I do want to ask you, you're also a nonprofit. How is funding right now during the middle of a pandemic?
Well, thanks for asking. Last year we did fairly well, considering. We did have a Paycheck Protection Program loan that was granted, and we had a number of fairly large grants that came through. So we as a nonprofit are quite fortunate. We have 10 full-time staff, and we're hoping to continue growing. But we also know that many nonprofits across the region have suffered immensely during the COVID crisis. And so, I think part of the reason we did well is because of the fact that we're associated with sort of nature, and nature is open, and that is a resource that many people can turn to during this time. But also we're just, very grateful for the community that we operate in, the 48 communities that we serve. And the communities just really come to meet us where we're at and really help us out in this time. So thank you so much to our membership, our volunteers, our corporate partners, our foundation partners. We're just so grateful for your support, and you really made us float, and we appreciate that. So thanks for asking.
What's so great is in the middle of a crisis, you do learn who really supports you. And when you ask for help, they are there. So that's the beautiful thing, because it really is bringing us together.
Yeah.
With that, Marie, before we let you go, anything maybe I didn't touch on that you want to share before we say goodbye?
No, we're just grateful for the opportunity to talk about Friends of the Rouge, and please visit our website. That is our current COVID storefront. Our offices are currently closed, but you can check out what we're doing on our social channels, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we always have something for you to do. So feel free to reach out, and remember that nature is open.
That is a great tagline. TheRouge.org is your website. Some fun things to do as well, like maybe your neighborhood once we get to springtime, right? We are going to be getting there.
That's right. Yes, fingers crossed. It rained a little last night, and so I was excited to see some of the snow melt. I'm looking forward to spring and planting some more gardens. So I can't wait for some sunshine and getting my nails dirty again.
Well, it's been great having you, and thank you for your dedication as well to our environment and to the rivers.